All right, I'm calling this Orange Room Talks. All right, everyone, welcome to the inaugural episode of the Orange Room Talks. I am here today with my esteemed co-founder and co-owner of JEST Improv, Alex Sattler.
Hello.
Yes. Go ahead and introduce yourself, man.
Hi. I'm as he lovingly said, co-founder of JEST Improv, also the artistic director.
Yes.
Here as well as the director of our main stage troupe, the Jestys.
Woo!
So, yeah.
Jestacular.
Yeah, I just came up with that just now.
No.
You've been saving that one then.
I have not. I cannot even take credit for that.
I cannot wait until I get into a video and I can use Jestacular somehow. There's a shirt.
That's a show name, right?
Yeah, or a show.
Yeah. Yes. All right, Alex. So let's start off from the beginning. Like, what brought you to improv in the first place? What's been your journey to improv?
Oh man. So to improv specifically, I'd say, I mean, it was really a long time coming because, like, I grew up as theater kid, just like doing community theater around Ojai, like the rec center or wherever. And when I was a kid, I discovered the show Whose Line, which I think is a big gateway that pretty much everyone had. Yeah. And I was just watching the show, whenever I could catch it live or when it was like on YouTube clips, whatever. And I was just like, man, this looks insanely hard. Like, I'm going to stick to the scripts for a while. So then I was just...
1 second. I just don't want us to bomb a take because I didn't make sure that it's recording correctly because I'm loving how this is starting. Perfect. We're all good running on this. I'm sorry. So the last thing you were talking about was that you thought it was so hard to skip to the script.
Yeah. So I thought I'm just going to stick to the script for a while because I felt like that was easier. So I just kept doing theater stuff going through high school. And then junior year of high school, we had somebody come out to our theater class to do like an improv workshop. So it was like my junior year. And I was thinking like, oh man, I don't know if I could do this. And then we did the workshop and just about halfway through, I was just like, wow, this is actually not as hard as it looks. And I was actually having a lot of fun doing it also. So went through theater in high school. And then in my second year of college, that same guy who came to do the workshop.
Wait, who was it?
It was John Medeiros.
John Medeiros, is that Vic guy or is that Ojai Improv?
Both.
Ojai. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that was around the time in my sophomore year at college when he started Ojai Improv. Okay. And he started putting out the classes, and I really enjoyed it when he did the workshop. So I was like, yeah, I think I'll go try it. I thought I had a lot of fun with it last time. And since then, it's just been pretty nonstop with just doing improv.
Bro, have you ever thought that like maybe you're that person for someone else? You're probably that person for Aries.
Like doing a workshop and then got them hooked?
You know what I'm talking about? Like one of these youth workshops that we've done or these other things. Like you could be that person. That's like a dude came out to my... Think about it, man. Like, you're that dude now. That's cool as fuck. That's really cool.
No, it is cool. I mean, it would be awesome to think that, somebody like came to something I did and was so inspired they just wanted to keep coming back. That would be very cool.
I guarantee that's happened. I literally guarantee it.
I'll have to ask Aries when I see him tomorrow.
100%.
Am I that guy?
Am I that guy?
Tell me I'm that guy.
But you are. All right, keep going. So you're in college.
Yeah, so sophomore year of college, I started doing the Ojai Improv class, and I was just pretty much hooked ever since. Yeah. And then I stuck with Ojai Improv for like another, I'd say, year and a half.
And that's where you met Steph, right?
Yeah, I met Steph through Ojai Improv, and I met her. I think she came in maybe 6 months after I started, something like that. And I knew that she and I had like a really good groove and had like a great sense of humor about things. And so met her through there, and then I ended up leaving Ojai Improv a year after. She stuck around, pretty much till the bitter end of that. But then after I left Ojai Improv, I started to explore improv in LA. Okay, so that's when I started going to the Second City. Started looking into doing groundlings classes. Back when Second City was a thing in LA. It's not anymore, unfortunately. Yeah. But yeah, and then I was just doing that for a while. I spent almost 2 years doing like Second City and then going into conservatory program, all that stuff. And that's where I felt like I really like harnessed all of what like the things that you should know about improv and like implementing them on like a consistent basis kind of thing. Because Second City is very much like a well-rounded sort of approach, whereas like certain schools have a focus on certain things. Like Groundlings, it's like characters, right? And then UCB, it's like the game. It's the big focus. But Second City, it's more like all around, starting from the relationship, all that stuff. So I really credit them, and then also just being around really good improvisers and like the teachers, and then like going to like see shows, like even like the 11 o'clock show after I was done with the class, I'd go and see that because it was free because I was a student. But just seeing these people who'd been doing improv way longer than I'd been alive, and then I just learned so much from just seeing like, oh, you can do that. Like that's really cool. Like you could say that?
Yes.
Like, that's awesome.
Yes.
So, and then from there, I just around that time when I started the improv in LA, I was also doing improv in Ventura. So that was around mid 2015. I think is when I started there. And and so I was kind of just doing all the things at the same time, just getting pretty much as much improv exposure as I could.
Oh, that's canonically what we're going to say, by the way. You were doing Improv in Ventura, and we met at Improv in Ventura. Just not even uttering it. No SEO.
No plugs.
No plugs.
No plugs.
Ever.
Yeah.
No, I'm over it. Over it. All right, so you started doing Improv in Ventura. Okay. But I do want to get more a little bit. Do you have any fun like memories or experiences from the LA time that you did?
Oh,
weird characters. People that you meet because they're.
I don't know. I mean, I met a lot of really great, fun people over at Second City. In fact, a few of them I still talk to every now and then. But
was that like Dwayne and or was
Dwayne? Dwayne I met when I was in the later stages of the conservatory, and then he became my director for the conservatory program, to helping us build that sketch show. And I mean, Dwayne is like one of the top like people I've ever worked with. Super passionate, knows what he's talking about, kind of dude. Very great to work with, and like just people I'd worked with too. Like I remember one of my favorite people I worked with at Second City. His name was Stanson. And
mononym, like one name?
No, that was just his first name.
Okay, just
Stanson Chung. That was his full name.
That's a dope name.
And I mean, he was just an amazingly talented. Like, he's one of those guys where it was like he was so funny and he didn't know it.
Yeah,
like it just he had so much talent, but he was like so humble and was just always so into like making everybody else look as funny as possible.
Yeah.
Super salt of the earth dude. And I really thought like, because when we all graduated at the same time. I saw him as dudes like that dude's gonna make it to SNL. Like he was that good.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't even say that about me. I would say that about him.
Sure.
He was just that funny.
Yep.
And that great of a performer and entertainer. Like I met like some of his characters, because he was just so good at just like bringing like sassiness to like a serious character.
Okay.
It was like this weird dynamic of like he'd start out serious and then he'd like bring like this sass dynamic to it.
Okay.
It was just really funny.
I love it.
To watch. It's hard to describe, but like if he happens to watch this, maybe I don't know, but I love the guy.
Stanson, reach out.
Yeah, dude, I love what you do, man. I hope you're still doing it.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah. So we get into it a little bit. What brought you to JEST Improv?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think you and I both know that
Hell
story
yeah.
pretty well, but you know, when we were both in Ventura Improv, we had met. I think maybe 4 or 5 months before we started the
it feels like so much longer, but you are
the
so
tyranny
right.
process.
No, mutiny, not tyranny.
Oh, yeah, the mutiny.
We were under tyranny.
Oh, yeah,
we mutinied to get out of our tyranny.
We weren't the tyrants.
To be clear,
far from it.
Far from it.
So yeah, I because we all just kind of had that sort of group sync of like, you know, this just isn't feeling right. You know, the guy who's directing this is really not looking out for the troupe, which was really sad for me because, you know, I had been with the group for years and I knew the potential that it had. And I was the one that pushed so hard to really focus on building the troupe and having it be, focus, like have time dedicated to the people who are doing shows on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
And get a way better chemistry come through the show.
How they've been doing improv in this whole neck of the woods for so fucking long is crazy.
I have no idea, man. Hey, second funniest guy in Ventura County one year. That name recognition, maybe.
Dude, can we make those awards? We can do that now.
I mean,
Dude,
I guess.
fucking, Andres just came up with that shit, right?
Yeah,
like it's some
put it in the Ventura County Star.
Yeah, fuck, man, Jesus. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I don't know if we could throw in a funny story about that.
Sure, lay it on.
But when the troupe director of Ventura Improv found out that he won second funniest man in Ventura County.
Because you were there for that.
I was there for that.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, and so he literally brought in, this was like right before, or maybe, it was around a rehearsal. He brought in the newspaper. He showed me the article where he was number 2. And he asked me like, hey, when we're done with rehearsal tonight, could you take a picture of me reading that news article on the toilet? And so it's like, hey, number 2 funniest guy. That's a real picture, and I did it. In retrospect, terrible idea. But at the time, he thought it was so funny.
Weird.
Yeah, definitely a super weird concept. I would not personally do that to anybody. But at the time, he thought it was so funny.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm taking number 2 while reading on number 2. It's like,
you don't
really
have
funny.
to ask a performer of yours to take a picture of you taking a shit.
I don't think he actually did, but
sure, but
it looked like he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the acting.
Number 2. Damn, who was number 1?
2. Yeah, I don't remember.
Oh, that's nuts.
I wish
man.
I did. That would be pretty funny.
We honestly, we're going to revive that. Because we could just do funniest
person in Ventura.
Who cares? Yeah, literally.
Yeah, reach out to the Star.
Well, because it's like, they just were holding that competition, then they just publish it in the Star, or just tell them.
Well, I don't even think it was a competition. I think it was just like, a well-known name who's funny in Ventura, and then you just gave it to him.
I saw clips. I remember Andres.
Oh, like submitting?
I see people online because I think it was a contest. It was like a stand-up contest, which
okay.
You could probably charge an entry fee.
Maybe.
Making money off stand-ups. There we go.
Yeah, easy money.
But yeah, dude, the fucking Ventura Harbor Comedy Club, I sent you that picture, but talk about a place that we performed in the past that's changed. Like, that's all
like
just completely renovated.
Yeah.
They just completely blew that whole fucking thing up and just redid all of it.
Yeah.
In it's not been that long.
Yeah, it was like a year ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always thought they were going to open something else up in there for sure.
Yeah,
but
I thought it'd been like an easy, another club of some kind. Like even just like a dance club or something.
Yeah. I mean, that main room thing though, with the windows opening out to music was always hard.
Oh yeah.
Because you're either sweltering on the inside or it's fucking.
You can't hear anything.
Easy rider.
Yeah. Just can't hear anything on stage because of the music.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that was a fun time.
What do you think draws you to improv the most?
Like what keeps me coming back?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's changed for me because the way the biggest draw for me in the beginning I think is different from where it is now.
Sure.
So it's still there a little bit, but the biggest draw for me in the beginning was because I was coming off of community theater, plays, musicals, where everything was scripted, planned, for the most part at least, and then improv might come in little bits and pieces throughout the show, but most of it you knew your lines, you knew the blocking and all that stuff. So, but my least favorite part of it was memorizing all the lines. And all the blocking and the changes. And
I didn't even do it, and I just know that it's the worst. I can't even do it. I have so much respect.
Here's the thing: some people really enjoy it. Most people don't.
Yeah, fuck that, man.
It can be a brutal process.
Yeah.
So I was not a big fan of that. So then when I saw improv class, it's I don't have to memorize anything.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude! Sign me up. So I was just doing improv classes, and I could still bring, all that stuff I learned from acting with stage presence, bringing emotion to the character, objective, all that stuff, and then just kind of figure it out in the moment. And to me, that seemed like such a fun challenge. And as I was doing it, I was learning more and more about it and just having more fun with the idea of just Yeah, and this is still one of my favorite things in improv, which is you go into something with somebody else with absolutely nothing. Like, no, not even a suggestion or anything. Just go into it completely blank and then just finding something super funny and real and awesome just throughout that whole time, just because you're paying attention, you're letting it take its time. You're really listening and responding as best you can, and just that sort of stuff. Like, I think the first time I did that, I was just so like, whoa, like, you can do that.
So it's like the something from nothingness of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I can
something
dig
from
it.
nothing. And then also, like, in the beginning, especially, it was the teamwork aspect.
Yeah.
Because coming from, like, community theater, you definitely knew the people that weren't big team players, basically in it just to show off their skill set to, like, potential whatever, like working up their acting reel or whatever the hell. And it's just not that fun to work around those people.
No.
But they're talented, which is why they get in the show.
Sure.
But in improv, it's really, I mean, of course there's a place for talent, but there's a bigger place for people that act like they're in a team.
Fuck
and
yeah.
they're making everybody else look great. And
Yep.
for me, I've always had that team player sort of mindset, and improv is just perfect for that. Because, like, you can't really do that in stand-up. It's harder to pull off during, like, regular, acting in theater or whatever. But improv, that's, like, the perfect place to do it. And I was like, hell yeah, dude. All I'm doing is trying my best to make everybody else look good, and they're doing the same for me. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah. You said it's kind of evolved, though. What do you feel like it is for you nowadays?
Well, I mean, I think it's because I'm in a different role.
Yeah.
Like, back then, I was, I mean, I still think I'm a student of the craft, more or less. But, I'm in more of a position of, helping, bring everybody else up,
Sure.
And making them the best improviser. Whereas before I was focused on making myself the best improviser. Now I'm focusing on other people. But a big thing for me now when it comes to why I love coming back to improv is I love seeing other people surprise themselves with how good they are. Because I think improv is one of those things where most people think it's really hard, because there's no script or anything. You're just coming up with it and trusting yourself to do that. And then you have those, like, aha moments where you're just like, oh, wow, I just stopped thinking and I just went with my instincts, and people really enjoyed it. And, like, I could see it on their face. They were just like, oh my God, it worked.
Yeah.
Just like that big realization of, like, I tried something, I listened to what they said, and it worked. And I really want to do it again.
Yeah.
And then just seeing people progress also and get better and better and better as the weeks go on. That's such a huge thing.
I was talking to somebody recently that does, like, a paddle ball thing, and they were saying that, like, their
Talking about pickleball?
No, it's something different. Because it's like a different, it's like a halfway between tennis and pickleball.
Sure, Dawn loves it.
Yeah. But it's like they literally will send the people that participate, like, a video of them from, like, a year ago that's like to show them how far. It's like, dude, we should do that. We should send people their 101 performances and be like, yo,
if we have the tape,
right?
I'd be
sure,
down.
right?
Send it to Emily.
Literally, just to be like, look how far you've come. Like, it's a very real thing, and I think it's very, very cool.
Yeah. Well, I also just like to remind people of, like, there was a time when you did not do this thing, and now you do this thing so easily.
Yeah.
Like, that's also what's really cool when it comes to, like, characters, or being, more confident, or, being willing to go for that really true part of the scene. Like, there's some people that I've worked with that would not touch that with a 10-foot pole, and now they just do it like it's nothing.
Yeah.
Like, it's that shit that just really, it's just like, I love seeing it.
Or even just touching the stage.
Right.
Like,
Or
getting
that
on
too.
a stage with a room full of people there. Some people freak the fuck out about that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's true. Like, some people had, like, when they started improv, like, really bad stage fright.
Yeah.
And would not even go up on stage.
Yeah.
And now they just they want to throw themselves up there. It's great.
Yeah. What's one big, if you could be, not to put you on the spot, but it's like, if you could be not remembered, but like a big improv lesson that's your, like, thing that you want to be like, if this is my contribution, you know what I mean?
My thing?
Not your thing, but I'm not trying, again, that's why I said not putting it on a spot, but it's like a thing that you feel like especially like called to teach, or like a way that you view improv that you feel like is really stands out to you? Like for Oak, it's like space work, right? It's like space work. You really need to do space work because it creates. For me, I'm like, don't ever tell me the price about anything because it's boring. Like focus on, focus on what's the emotions behind it, like the negotiations, small things like that.
I mean, I think for me, it's really like a couple things.
Okay.
Like if I were really to narrow it down, I don't think I could narrow it down to one, but I think two.
Sure.
I think for me, like a big thing that I always strive for is the relationship is the most important thing of the scene. Like as much as, I mean, you were just talking about like nobody cares about the price of things, and that's like a transaction scene.
Yep.
Right. If all we're doing is having a scene where I'm just like buying something from you, that's really boring. But if I'm buying something from you and we happen to have a relationship, nobody cares about me buying something from you anymore. Everybody wants to know what our relationship is, the history behind it, how we feel, all that stuff. And I say a second thing for me is I think listening is super important. And that just comes with like taking your time and stuff. But a quote that really I think stands out to me that really comes through how I teach is a quote that I learned at the Second City. Like somebody told me this, and I just also saw it in action, was the best improvisers aren't the most clever. The best improvisers are the ones that listen the best. And I think that's so true. Like you can have, I mean, we've had clever people come through improv. Like I've seen, and hell, even through JEST, we've had very clever people come through. But I think the best improvisers are the ones that aren't, trying to get the laugh. They let the laugh happen naturally just by listening, taking it in, and then going for that next important thing, and just really just taking it easy on themselves at that point, because you make your life a lot easier when you get to the realization of I don't have to try to be funny
or like make a pun,
or go for a pun, or whatever Chris might think in the moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, just letting the funny happen naturally through listening, I think, is definitely another big one outside of relationship for me.
All right. Well, perfect, man. I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Alex.
Yeah, this was great. All right.
I realized it was like